in a world where the number of movies available is great, but many are so bad, you'll learn a new definition of hate. One man sifts and reviews through the movie sludge. One man will be the movie cop, jury, and judge. He goes by many names, but you know him by Movies Merica.
Today, we'll be flying Con Air to get to a face-off with a national treasure. Hurry up, because we're gone in 60 seconds. Today, I review the unbearable weight of massive talent with the one and only Nicolas Cage.
I'm ready for the big ride, baby.
Roll that intro.
Hey, all you beautiful movie-loving people out there, live from a red carpet somewhere, surrounded by celebrities. This is the Movies Merica podcast with Van Ebert, where movie reviews meet cold brews. Van will review your favorite and maybe not so favorite movies while enjoying some ice-cold beers and saying cheers. Now let's head into the theater and join our illustrious movie reviewer du jour, who's no doubt got the beer ready to pour, Van Ebert. Oh, the world was blessed in 1964 when we had Nicolas Cage brought into this very, very world. I mean, what would movies be without the one, the only Nicolas Cage? I mean, movies would pretty much be like a saltine cracker or something. It'd just be bland, right? You know, but we've got Nicolas Cage as kind of like the spicy Cajun spice, you know, to always get you something different, you know, to always keep things exciting and spicy. Absolutely. And with that, hey, let's check out this trailer. What do you say?
What's the worry here, Nick? You've lost some of your talent as an actor?
No. What did he say?
He says he loves you, but he went in a different direction.
I'm done. I'm quitting acting.
Ah, man, I'm driving through the hills. I'm sorry. One more time.
We got another offer. It's $1 million. It's to attend a wealthy gentleman's birthday party.
The guy that owns this house, what's his name?
Javi. Mr. Cage.
Excuse me, is Javi going to want me to,
I'm not sure I understand.
Look, if Javi...
I am Javi.
Nick Cage. God, this place is stunning. What is your favorite movie? That's one of those questions that's impossible to answer. You can't just limit it to one.
Imagine me and you. I do.
Is it too much? Is this supposed to be me? It's grotesque. I'll give you 20,000 for it. A cliff? We could have died!
That movie sounds like the best ride at an amusement park, huh? Yeah. Am I right? All right. Well, hey, you know what? We're going to get more in depth into that right there. We're going to do a deep dive into the unbearable weight of massive talent. But before we do that there, ladies and gents, hey, let me just let you know here that this here podcast is, of course, on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, many, many other platforms there. And if you happen to be on Apple Podcasts there, if you find yourself at that location, feel free to scroll all the way down to the bottom of all the episodes and just give it a 5-star rating real quick. It's just a split second of your time, and then you can get back to the pool party, all right? Yeah, it just doesn't take very long. And then, hey, you know, while you're down there anyway, you might as well just give me a review. I mean, come on. You're already there, right? You came this far. Give me a review. And, you know, the review can be something very, very short. You know, it can be, hey, this guy is fantastic. Or this guy is a flop. Preferably not the latter one, but hey, you know what? Who am I to stop you from being honest, all right? And then, yeah, feel free to download the episodes. If you go to the very top of all the episodes, there's that 3-dot thing that you can click on, and there's usually like a follow show or subscribe, something like that in there, where it just downloads all the episodes for you automatically, And that's one less thing for you to do. I mean, you got to get up, you got to take a shower, you got to do laundry, you got to walk the dog, you got to make the meatloaf. I mean, it's all that stuff adds up. This is one less thing for you to have to do. You won't have to download the episodes, all right? Yeah. And then also the episodes, I should let you know, are also on moviesmerica.com. I'm also on that thing called social media that you may have heard of. I'm on Twitter and Instagram under Movies Merica, of course. If you want to check out my posts that I put out there, feel free. It's a free country, right? And also, if you want to DM me on there, absolutely. You can tell me how terrific or terrible I am. So, and also, hey, this week, the beer is back, baby. Oh, yeah. Yes, for like the last 2.5 months, due to the 75 hard fitness workout thing that I've been doing where I couldn't drink any booze for 2.5 months, the beer is back. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I don't know why I went 50s there, but okay. All that to say, beer is back. Yes. And I will never leave you again, beer. I promise. So, tonight's beer, now making its triumphant return, I am going to be going with a ubiquitous beer, an all-around classic that you can find pretty much everywhere. I'm just going to be jiving with some Dos Equis tonight here as I do this podcast. And, man, it's good to bring beer back into the fold. And so on that note, I'm going to take a little drinky drink. Oh, yeah, that hits the spot. All right, hey, well, let's get right into this review, okay? That's what you came here for, right? You didn't hear me to come here to help me, to hear me fanboy about beer, right? No, you want to hear about this Nicolas Cage movie, okay? So, anyway. So, yeah, the unbearable weight of massive talent. Why? What is it? Well, I will tell you, okay? This is Nicolas Cage showing us that he doesn't take himself too seriously, okay? He's got no problem poking fun at himself. Whoa. What's that? Apparently it's been too long since I've had a beer right there, so I got the boips. But yeah, so Nicolas Cage is kind of, poking fun at his persona that's out there in public. People think, that he's just kind of like, he's borderline kind of psychotic and, he's, off his rocker a little bit sometimes but in an entertaining way, right? I mean, you watch a Nicolas Cage movie and the rest of the movie might be crud, but you're never bored with Nicolas Cage's performance at all, right? I mean, he always gives it 110%, 25 hours a day, 8 days a week, okay? And this movie kind of riffs off of that, kind of plays off of that persona. And it's, yeah, I mean, the movie kind of starts off with Nicolas Cage, showing him, as he is now, or how they want to portray him as right now. And he's just an actor that, maybe his best days are behind him. He would never admit that at all. He's constantly saying the same line in the movie. He's like, "I'm back." Not that I win anywhere or anything like that, but it's that's a recurring line that he has, and he is, he shows him at the beginning of the movie. He's kind of lobbying for this, this role that he really wants, and he just kind of reminds me his character, or Nicolas Cage playing Nicolas Cage, reminds me of like Dustin Hoffman back in Tootsie, where Dustin Hoffman was playing Michael Dorsey, this actor looking for a role. Now, in that movie, Michael Dorsey was like an up-and-coming actor. He hadn't hit the big time. Nicolas Cage obviously has hit the big time. I mean, this guy has won a Best Actor Oscar. But, he's not a called-on commodity as much anymore. At least that's not, that's the way they portray him in this movie. I mean, no one's offering him, Face Off 2 or The Rock 2 or maybe they are. I don't know. You never know. You never know what screen plays across Nicolas Cage's agent's desk there. You never know. But yeah, it's, it's just kind of got that vibe of being John Malkovich, where in that movie, John Malkovich was playing John Malkovich, and it's just kind of this this kind of meta experience. And then also kind of like the movie Adaptation there, that was a Spike Jonze movie that, ironically enough, Nicolas Cage played the main character in Adaptation, where the movie is a play on real life characters, or Charlie Kaufman. I think his brother's name is Donald Kaufman, and so Nicolas Cage plays twins in that movie, and it's kind of like a take on these writers, and it's kind of a meta, kind of surreal take on a real life person, and that's Adaptation. But this movie is The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, and let's get a little further into this. So this movie is obviously a comedy, as you could tell from the trailers, and it did kind of start out a little slower than I thought it was going to be, but not in a bad way. The word slower gets a bad connotation, with movies lately, but it does kind of start off as kind of like a interesting character study, and really works to sell the idea that Nicolas Cage is, he's really struggling to find that next role, and he's very self-centered. Everything is about him and his career, and finding that role that he wants, and everything else is just priority number 7, priority number 13, priority number 25. I mean, and it's all about him. And they do introduce his character, his character. I keep saying his character. They introduce like Nicolas Cage's daughter, and I guess his ex-wife, and how he's trying to balance his relationship with them and keep his movie career going in a way that he wants. It's clear that he's not really interested primarily in like big budget, like Hollywood mega movies or anything like that. He's more about the craft now. Maybe he always was, but now he definitely is, where he just wants some interesting roles that really entice him and are interesting and just tickle his imagination, and not just cookie cutter roles at all. And he's just trying to find just the roles with some spice to them, right? And he's not having a whole lot of luck in this, and so his agent, played by NPH himself, Neil Patrick Harris, Barney from How I Met Your Mother, and NPH from Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle. He's just playing his agent, obviously trying to help him out, and Neil Patrick Harris does lend some comedic moments to this movie. And so Neil Patrick Harris lets him know that, hey, there's this guy in Spain, this rich guy, and he's willing to pay you $1 million just to be at his birthday party, like just to make an appearance. You just have to make an appearance and hang out with him at a birthday party, and go over there and enjoy yourself. And of course, Nicolas Cage is like, what? I'm an Oscar-winning actor. What? I'm supposed to go over there like a clown, like a trained pony? That's not what I do. And he kind of blows it off. And then what happens, and in the beginning of this movie, and this Nicolas Cage, he agrees to go over to Spain, is where he ends up at. And it turns out the rich guy that wants him at his birthday party, his name is Javi, and he is played by Pedro Pascal. Now, you may recognize Pedro Pascal from he played the Viper in Game of Thrones, or Oberyn Martell in Game of Thrones. He was in Narcos. Most people know him now as the Mandalorian, although you don't really see his face all that much in that Disney Plus show. And Pedro Pascal, he plays a character that may not be what he seems on the surface when Nicolas Cage meets him. But it is kind of funny when Nicolas Cage first gets to Spain, or Mallorca, Spain to be specific, and Pedro Pascal as Javi is there to greet him, and the gag of that that moment is that Nicolas Cage has no idea that the person that's greeting him is Javi. He just thinks he's like the help or something. So that kind of plays for some laughs. But you quickly learn that Javi is just fanboying out, to Nicolas Cage. He's just a massive Nicolas Cage fan, and obviously, obviously, why else would he want him at his birthday party? And it's just kind of funny just seeing this character that's supposed to be like this rich and powerful guy, just acting like a nervous little girl around, Nicolas Cage, just because he's just so impressed and wowed by Nicolas Cage's presence and that he's there. And one of the funny pieces is that that Javi, of course, he's got a screenplay, right? Who doesn't have a screenplay, right? And so that turns out to be another agenda that Javi had with having Nicolas Cage show up at his birthday party. And but I have to say, once Nicolas Cage gets to Spain and encounters Javi and they meet, the comedy dynamic between the two is pretty hilarious. Sometimes you get these movies where you get two buddies and they just don't jive. They just have no chemistry. Well, people, that is not the fact here. Okay, Nicolas Cage and Pedro Pascal are two veteran seasoned actors, and they just kudos to the casting directors. For getting Pedro Pascal in this movie along with Nicolas Cage, because their chemistry, the buddy cop, so to speak, chemistry between them is palpable, and it is pretty hilarious. And it's just like, it kind of reminds me of Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly and Step Brothers or Talladega Nights. Just kind of that naturally funny, just bonding and chemistry. And it's funny because Pedro Pascal's a big movie fan, and just the way that they have this relationship, where Pedro Pascal, he's kind of always trying to pitch Nicolas Cage, on scenes and being dramatic and living life in a movie, and and he's just playing out these scenes from his screenplay that he's trying to sell Nicolas Cage, and it really makes you like the Javi character. All the while, you're thinking, okay, like this guy might be some evil, tyrannical villain, behind the scenes, and you get to the point where like you really hope that he's not, because Pedro Pascal makes you like this Javi character quite a bit. But that's kind of the hook, is that Pedro Pascal may not be what he seems. And as far as like talking about like how funny they are as buddies in this movie, one of the funniest movies simply involves Nicolas Cage and Pedro Pascal just at a wall. Okay, they're like running through town and they get to this wall, and I'm not gonna spoil the scene, but I had more than a few belly laughs at this scene. It's pretty funny. And no spoilers, but it's like they're I'll just put it this way, they're on LSD during this scene. So yeah, there you go. Yeah. And there's more funny scenes between them there too, but they get to a point where they're like trying to plan a movie and just talking over what the plot of the movie is, and having some fun with that. Now, to go back to Nicolas Cage, and his daughter in this movie, they really, at the beginning of the movie, they talk about, they kind of show how Nicolas Cage is blowing off his daughter and his ex-wife and that whole family dynamic, because he is pretty laser focused on himself. He's very narcissistic, just worrying more about his career, and he's trying to fit in time with his daughter, and it's kind of like a chore to him, like to have to be there for her, which is it's kind of a down part of the movie. And she does have like a birthday party, and he shows up and embarrasses there, and it's that's kind of funny just to see that hey, even it serves as a reminder that even famous people's kids get embarrassed by their parents, and because they don't think of their parents as like this big famous actor. They're just mom, they're just dad, and their parents just happen to be these people that are up on these big billboards around town, or they're on the big screen, they're famous, but they're still just mom, still just dad. It's still just dad that didn't get you that car that you wanted, or dad that ate up all the donuts before you had a chance to get some. I mean, it was just kind of funny, that whole family dynamic. With famous people, it's just the same as with normal people there. But yeah, the movie kind of it progresses on. It kind of they play it as kind of like an action comedy, and it's it kind of plays into what Nicolas Cage does in a lot of his movies. A lot of his movies, particularly the earlier ones, he was kind of like the action hero or a spy or something. And just kind of shows how he's not that in real life, but and it's apparent that Javi knows he doesn't just know Nicolas Cage's all his roles. Apparently he's watched all the special features on all the all Nicolas Cage movies and the featurettes, and so because he calls out Nicolas Cage in one scene, where they got to run away from some bad guys, and Pedro Pascal's like, hey Nick, you get to go first, and Nicolas Cage's like, why? And Javi's like, well, because you run faster than me. I mean, I saw how you ran in the movie National Treasure, and Nicolas Cage is like, that's the stunt guys, and Javi's like, not according to the special featurette. Yeah. It's like Javi has obviously done his homework because he's obsessed with Nicolas Cage and Nicolas Cage movies, and so it's kind of cool to see how Nicolas Cage is adored, by fans in this movie. And there are some good supporting characters in this. Ike Barinholtz, he plays one of the CIA guys. And he's kind of in the class of comedic actors like Danny McBride. They're just kind of like, they lend some comic some comic chops to the movie, but they'll never be like the leading man. So it's like Ike Barinholtz and Danny McBride. Those guys. And Tiffany Haddish is in it. She kind of is unremarkable in this movie. She does her job, but I've never gotten the appeal of Tiffany Haddish in this, but okay. And then the actress that plays his wife in this movie, she's in a role that could have easily been a thankless role, but she does a good job at keeping up with Nicolas Cage and kind of bringing him back down to earth and holding her own. And she really does a good job at doing a realistic portrayal of what what a wife to Nicolas Cage or ex-wife to Nicolas Cage would be like, and how they'd interact. And she's behind one of the real deep pulls in this movie as far as Nicolas Cage movies, because Javi's asked Nicolas Cage, like, hey, how did you and your ex-wife meet? And he says, oh, she was the makeup artist on Captain Corelli's Mandolin. And I heard that, I'm like, wow, how many people know the Nicolas Cage movie Captain Corelli's Mandolin? I mean, obviously Nicolas Cage would know that, but it's like, wow, of all the movies that he met his ex-wife on, like, the very obscure Captain Corelli's Mandolin is one there. But and speaking of actresses in this movie, there's a character named Gabriella, and she is like Javi's assistant, and she's a breath of fresh air in this movie too. She's feisty and spunky, her character is in this, and it's pretty funny. The villain in this movie is kind of like this cookie cutter kind of mustache twirling villain that didn't really do much for me. You know, there's a, you know, so, but, you know, you have to have that to play off. You have to have the, you know, the antagonist there to have the plot to keep pulling forward and whatnot. But yeah, so this movie is one that, yeah, I would definitely recommend going to see. I mean, if you're somebody that always complains that, hey man, it seems like all there is, you know, DC and Marvel movies and Star Wars, and that's it. Or, you know, little kid Pixar movies. That's the only thing that's out in the theaters. I really wish that, you know, some movies with like an original plot, an original theme, you know, that you know, deserves some attention and dishes out something different. I really wish they'd come out with more of those. Well, this is a great opportunity for anybody that gripes like that about that, like I do, to go out there and vote with their wallet. Like, go out there and see, you know, this movie. I mean, it's movies like this and The Northman that, you know, and you know, that Everything Everywhere All at Once movie. These are movies with fresh material, you know, the fresh IP, and you really got to support them, you know, otherwise you're just going to keep getting Doctor Strange and Star Wars and, you know, and Toy Story 14, okay? You know, so those movies are okay, you know, in their own right, but sometimes, you know, you want to ditch the Domino's pizza and you want the good old, you know, ma and pa pizza shop Chicago deep dish, right? You know, yeah, I mean, you can't eat, you know, Tostino's, you know, $2 pizzas all the time, right? You want the good stuff every once in a while. And so The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent is a good, you know, example of, you know, just some original material in a movie, a good, mature, medium-sized budget adult movie that will get your belly laughing. And I would highly encourage everyone to go check it out. I mean, come on, it's Nicolas Cage. Come on. And so with that, everybody, time to wrap it up, okay? And again, this podcast is on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all kinds of platforms, okay? Get, you know, an Apple Podcast. Please give it a 5-star review or 5-star rating and a review if you want. And, hey, with that, hey, everybody, get out there. Those movies aren't going to watch themselves. All right, later.
Hey guys, don't leave the video quite yet. Okay, I've got the popo. They're coming after me, and I don't have much time to tell you, but you need to like and subscribe this video right here, down below. It's right down there. It's just waiting. It's waiting for you down there, okay? And make sure you watch these videos over here too. You'll be doing me a big favor. I'll be in handcuffs pretty soon. All right, thanks for watching.